Hello there. I've been messing around with Gear Raid 2 here a little bit, and I think I've found something that somewhat minimizes the units you need to use in terms of, approachability of the roster. Um, there's
They can resist my
at
charms.
the very least, it seems like there's probably one that's pretty much unavoidable, and it would be, Sadie. There, there may be a way to get it done without Sadie. Uh, by potentially using Carnelian to mess with the Shriek. Now, I don't know how well that works yet, but I will be messing with that sometime this week. As soon as I have the time. And we have enough to place our Rork, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Shriek is coming in. Pop Sadie's ultimate.
All lives are precious. Mother's black.
We are going to drop in our... Wait, actually... Drop in Wood Elf, recall Wood Elf, drop in Estrid. Pop Rork's ultimate to clear out his side. Still not entirely sure why I have an Aatrox in there. Virtually everyone would be more useful. We're going to drop in our Ferssi now to help survive the Earthshake and pop Elowyn's ultimate. We're going to tell Estrid to get her ass moving and clear her lane. And here we will drop Vortex over here next to Brokkir. Brokkir is going to help make sure that Vortex fully survives this, and we're not in for a bad time. We'll drop a Wood Elf over here on the right side. Golem Shriek coming up. We're gonna pop Sadie. Vortex barely surviving over there. Ideally, you have his ultimate already up. And you don't use it on the Shriek phase like I did. Or on the Slam phase like I did. Earthshake coming up. Once more, we're kind of just gonna wait. Pop out his ultimate.
My friend, mother's blessings upon you.
And we have the Wood Elf this time. Pop Estrid over here on the right. Earthshake is coming up, so we will drop a Wood Elf right there.
Care to be my muse? Stay close.
Pop a Ferssi real quick. Once more, Earthshake coming. We hold in Elowyn for a little bit and then pop Elowyn. Well, Elowyn's dead. She'll be back eventually. This is where it's probably more interesting to have a backup healer like, say, Madan, a very tanky geared hollow or something like that, but at the end of the day it doesn't really matter because we're still doing what we have to do and pretty much killing everything. There's also the fact that these rock throws, when there's 4 of them, I'm fairly sure that Elowyn would die regardless because they do AoE around them, it seems. So we don't really have a good way to prevent that, besides really stacking Elowyn with HP. And we take a bit of a beating here for a while. And as we drop Elowyn in, it'll stabilize and we'll be mostly fine. Okay, we can recall Estrid. We can recall Harz. And we can, I guess, use Aatrox for the first time in the in the round here. Dealing an extraordinary amount of damage right there, Aatrox.
Mother's blessings upon you.
Volca would also allow dropping, on the other side here and killing the boss quicker. Although, at this point, killing the boss quicker does, only really help you for farming this stage. Which should be fairly easy with Power of Dominance. Now, you may be sitting there scratching your head, why the hell didn't you just use a Valk or an Ardea? And the answer is because I could not use an Ardea or a Valk. I don't think this will work too well on 23 and plus, but it is an option for 22 if you have them geared well enough. And speaking of gearing, I'm going to go over the team real quick and why certain choices were made. I explained most of them, but really, you need 2 tanks. You definitely need that Northerner Lord, because a lot of your roster is going to end up being Northerner. Brokkir is by far the best for this, because... Nope, that's not what I'm looking at. He does grant damage reduction to anyone around him, which is simply phenomenal in a phase where pretty much everything revolves around the damage you're taking. And I don't think... Olag can kind of help. So that is an option. I think Isolde is also a good option when she has her ultimate up. Yeah. So there are alternatives to Brokkir. If you don't have Brokkir, you just need to start timing your ults better instead of enjoying a passive effect. But it is doable with either or potentially both of those. I have a feeling that I could probably remove both of these if I ran Valk instead of damage dealers, and just run Isolde and Olag. He's really just here as a Lord bonus. He doesn't do anything, but it does buff Ferssi a little bit and help keep him alive easier and make his heals better. There was potentially some value in swapping Vortex in if you do manage to remove one of the 2 fighters and you're running Valk, but we didn't do that. And finally, if you're running Volca, where is Volca? You are running Volca over Aatrox because Aatrox really does nothing throughout the whole fight, or say another healer as a backup. Those are also options. The only real problem here is Sadie, because if you're not running Sadie, I said it earlier, but I will potentially also test this later, but you should be able to run, potentially, Karn to survive the Shriek. But in our run, we ran, Harz with, no skills, but doesn't really matter. He has Unshaken Will and a Bastion Ring. Estrid is running Warlord and Soldan Arcana, mainly because that's, we're mainly looking for HP subs here to make sure she survives, and an unleveled Eye of Sin, which I don't have 2 of them leveled. Brokkir is once more running Unshaken Will, Bastion Ring. The tanks are... Rork is running some HP Soldan Arcana damage set with a Key of the Forsaken. Again, Estrid and Rork should probably just be replaced by a Valk if you have her, or an Ardea, but there's really no reason to actually run this. You might actually also be able to do this with an Imrit, maybe? I am curious, but that's even less accessible. Sadie is running a massive F-ton of HP, base healer build, and she's running her exclusive. Without the exclusive, it's still doable, it just makes it a bit more comfortable. Ferssi is running HP Sub, Invigoration, and Warlord with a Golden Scarab.
For mother.
Elowyn is running Morale, HP Subs, Golden Scarab. Vortex, HP Healer set with an Elysian Epitaph. And, well, Aatrox running Ageless Wrath, but he really did nothing. And I'll, you know, I will be messing with 23 and see how doable that is. Although I don't think it'll cut it at this point damage-wise, but, you know, hey, we'll see. So cheers. You have a nice one.